Hey y'all, Scott here. Today we're going to be doing a collection video. This is something that I put on my Instagram story. I wanted to see what video you guys wanted for the 2-year anniversary of Cardistry Talk, and this is what we got. So we're going to be doing a collection. I have all of my cards set out here. I want you guys to take a guess how many decks there are on this table. I counted them beforehand. I'll let you guys know at the end exactly how much is it. Let's throw in a little title screen here. So we can start. The other thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking these decks and stacking them to see how high of a tower I can get without it knocking over. There's going to be a couple problems with that idea. Namely, there's two cats running around rampant, causing lots of issues. Also, there's the whole gravity existing, which will be probably an issue. So we're going to get cracking on this. And to start out, we're going to go with the organic playing cards, which is the decks that I probably own the most of here. I have pretty much every organic playing cards deck that is available except for the two exotic decks. I really love OPC for obvious reasons. Me and Cam have had a lot of really fun interactions. I've been in the Squeezers V3 trailer. This Snackers deck that is Blackberry inspired is probably my most used deck. It is pretty disgusting, the amount of grime and dirt on it. I also have the coffee deck, Roasters. I got to do a tutorial with this deck on OPC's channel. And then another one of my favorites is Carvers, which is Halloween inspired, has a pumpkin on it. Hopefully there's not a terrible glare right now. But those are some of the standouts, and I'm going to try to stack them now. Okay. I can use forearms, I think, right? Forearms are fair game. It's not a hand. No. No. Come on. Next up, we have Aerodynamics, which are some of my favorite playing cards made by Kevin Ho. Good friend of the show. He was one of the earliest episodes. Really love this design. It's just a simple arrow, but it really works well for, making displays and designs. These are some of my favorite decks, especially the V1 and the V2. Hoping to get some more colorways in the future. A purple colorway would be really, really sick in my opinion. But also, doesn't really fit with the theme, but it would look cool. Okay, so we're already wobbling a lot. Orbit playing cards. So for Orbit playing cards, I just have a lot of their most recent releases. We have the V7, V8, V8 Parallel, and then just their Forest playing cards. I'm a big fan of Orbit. I love circle back designs, as a lot of you guys know. And it's also just a really good brand. I would like to own more, but a lot of their older decks are really expensive, and they don't come out with a lot of the decks. So, okay. This is probably worse than Jenga. I can see it's tilting, and it's already gonna fall. I'm kind of depressed now, and the cats have arrived.
He's like, oh, I'm gonna wreck that.
What we're gonna do now is, since I can't even stack one deck to the ceiling, which is what I was planning, we're gonna try stacking them together and see if I can get a little bit higher. Hopefully with this method, we'll be able to get as high as me, as tall as me. Also, let me know what you guys think about the microphone. I quite like it as a prop. It's just kind of fun to move around. Hopefully the audio isn't terrible, but you can do fun things like home run. Editing Caleb will add in a sound effect for that, and you'll be impressed. So for the next section, we're gonna go with a small one. I just have two decks here from Dealer's Grip. We have the 52 Mount, which I got from a friend, Hunter. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. And Form. This is another amazing deck. Oliver Sogard did the Grotesque video with that, which is probably one of my favorite videos. So there's two from Dealer's Grip. Really love Dealer's Grip. They're kind of more abstract and you know, definitely not normal designs, which I'm a pretty big fan of. Would love to get more of their decks. Next up, we have the big dogs. The most popular cardistry brand probably would be Fontaine playing cards. Obviously, they've been able to collab with some huge, really huge properties like Pink Panther and Halloween franchise, Army of Darkness or Evil Dead there. So they've grown on me over time. I really love the big collabs, especially these Halloween themed ones. I really love horror, and those are really special to me for that. So this already feels so much more stable. I said I couldn't use my one hand, but I think legs are probably good as well. So just gotta really incorporate everything but the hand. Next up, we have anyone playing cards. So we have some checkerboards here. We have the XL Dot. Clearly, I'm a big fan of the checkerboards because I own mostly those. I'm a simple man. If I see a checkerboard design, I'm probably going to buy it. I'm going to love picking up more colorways in the future, like blue. This XL Dot is probably the most new deck that I've gotten out of the whole collection. Got this probably a week ago, and I just love it because it's just terrible. It's such a dumb design, let's be honest. But it almost gives like a B-movie type of vibe where it's so bad it's good, at least in my opinion, because it's just a big dot on a playing card. Like, no effort was put into this, and I just love it for that. Terrible deck, looks like a ping pong paddle. I love it.
I thought it was a cornhole thing.
Yes, that's actually, it's a cornhole deck. That's what it's going to be. If you heard that, troll decks, make that a thing, a cornhole deck that's just this design. So next up, we have two decks that are just kind of random one-offs. I didn't know how to categorize them. So we have the metallic tally hose, which I got for Christmas. Really nice metallic sheen on those. Don't use those too much because they're pretty thick, but they are nice they look nice. This next one is the Almond Blossom playing cards inspired by the Van Gogh painting by the same name, Almond Blossoms. Love this deck, it feels great, and I'm hoping to pick up the other two Van Gogh inspired decks. So next up we'll do these three here. So these are Theory 11 decks. This is one of the most popular brands out there. More so for Magic, general people. Not necessarily as big cardistry focused, but definitely one of the biggest playing card makers out there. You can find these in Target, for example. Not these specific designs, so we're going to toss these guys on. Don't use these a ton anymore, but they always have pretty good designs and are very consistent. Their box tucks, though, their boxes are almost always more intricate and better designed than the playing cards themselves, unfortunately. But they do some really good work. Next up, we'll do these custom cards. So these are ones that were either designed or given to me. They aren't necessarily a specific brand. So we have the Cardistry Talk deck here, which is just the Cardistry Talk logo on playing cards. We have this deck, which is designed to look like Yu-Gi-Oh! Playing cards from the anime. So not the physical cards you would have in real life, but how they're represented in the anime. Cedric Lancey, thank you for designing that for me. I love it. We have a Lego brick kind of looking design, which is going to be coming in a future video that I'm creating. So that's kind of the first time you guys have ever seen that. And then this is Premium Playing Cards, a deck that was unreleased, but I got a free one from my friend. Thank you for that. Hope to see this deck in the future. Hope you're doing well. I know he hasn't been as active lately. Definitely got some wobble going now. It's just really hard, a lot harder to balance these than I was expecting. I was really expecting to be getting close to the ceiling, but I'm not even close. So next up, we have some order playing cards. These ones are a little bit harder to find. Naturally, I'm putting them on top of the tower of cards, even though they're more valuable. Probably should have put these down first, but we have some wins, some absolute vodkas. I forget what these are called, but they start with an M. I think it's Massa or Mesa. Some smoke and mirrors, Ask Alexander, watermelons. These are some old classic decks from USPCC. Some really good ones that are in some classic cardistry videos when we didn't have all these brands out there. So get these stacked, and the cats are going crazy. Get these stacked on here. I'm not even gonna, there it goes. Maybe I'd put one sideways here. Start going up that way and see if that'll add some stability. Next up, we have this whole section here. These are just a bunch of brands that I have that I enjoy, but I don't really own multiple versions of. So we have Viscid from my good friend Sam. There goes.
You heard nothing. Nothing happened.
There goes more cards on the ground. Just gonna, okay. And I'm probably just gonna let it be on the floor like a disgrace for the rest of the video. But coming back to this, we have Viscid from my friend Sam Gooden. Sam Gooden, that's not his name. Sam Gordon. We have Louisiana's from Komarebi, Compass playing cards. From Art, from Cardistry Touch, sorry. Offset playing cards. 2 Virtuoso decks. I actually can't find the cards for this, but I think they're around somewhere. But I'm not going to be able to stack that. We have Tsukiyami. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Probably not. We have these playing cards from Nate Lex. It's a really good deck. Shirosu. Best Cardist Alive Reds. Views playing cards from Illusionist. Seattle Lights from Katie Morris. Fulton's and Clip Joint playing cards. And Broken Borders from NDO, I believe. Coming back to the back here, we have some more Smoke and Mirrors. This is one deck that I've gotten for free, so thank you for sending that over. We have the Cardistry game here. I bought this really expecting to use it a lot and play it. Haven't played it once. It's a good deck. It's a fun game. I just don't have any friends, unfortunately. The next deck we have is Coca-Cola playing cards with Santa on it. This was a recent thrift store pickup, and it was 50 cents. Cincinnati playing cards. Can't beat it. These next 2 decks are decks that I had when I was first getting into cardistry. That would be a breast cancer awareness deck and a dragonback deck. This one's green. Here in the middle, this whole chunk is just a bunch of really common decks that you just think of when you think of playing cards. These are kind of like the generics that you would find in corner stores, Targets, stuff like that. Just kind of your basic go-to playing cards like tally hos and studs, bicycle playing cards, etc. My favorites personally are tally hos. Always love tally hos, especially the circle back ones, and studs. Even though they are out of print now, I'm a big fan of studs. So that's kind of like your generic playing cards. Here at the bottom, these are kind of like cardistry toys is what I call them. So they are decks that I've put holes into just to do little fun things with, you know, spin it around your finger, do different things, just something to change things up a little bit. On this edge here, I have a wine deck from Jose Portals, which is just some acrylic playing cards, acrylic trainers, sorry, that I have used a lot. This is also one deck of cards or trainers that I've had for a very long time. Here we kind of have our collectible decks that I would say, as well as some bulk towards the end. So this first one is just some decks that I've had for a very long time. So this blue Dragonback is the oldest deck that I own, not in terms of age, but in terms of how long I've owned it. This deck is extremely well used, and I just have a lot of sentimental value because it's the oldest playing card that I have, the one that I've owned for the longest. We have a blue sealed tally-ho, so from the Cincinnati factory. Next up, we have a V3 Gilded Edition Aerodynamics deck. This was very limited quantities. On the sticker there, it's going to say 42 out of 100, so there's only 100 of these made. Very fancy. Got to keep it tucked away in an acrylic case. This big collection here is the first 3 decks from Missing. This was their collection. I forget specifically what they called it. I think it might have been the Trilogy Collection. but it has their first 3 releases from Collage, Ink, and Thermal playing cards. Those are some really good decks that I want to break in more, but it's such a fancy looking design that case setup that I haven't used them too much, but I love them. Next up, we have the Squeezers V3. For those of you that don't know, I got to be in the trailer to promote these. I was extremely underqualified when that happened, so shout out to Cam for letting me be in that. But this deck is signed by Cam Toner and Sam Gordon, who also helped make that trailer, or I would say were more responsible than me for making that trailer. So that's just a kind of commemorative kind of token of a really good time and some really good friends. We also have the brick box, or half brick box I would rather say, for the Squeezers V3. Next up, we have the Roasters bag from OPC. I don't own many half brick boxes anymore, but this one's really cool, really special, because it only holds 3. It's designed as a coffee bag. It's just a really cool item. And I also got to teach my move Kraken with this deck, the Roasters deck, and it was on OPC's channel, so that was really cool. I'm getting quite tired of talking, to be honest. This is exerting a lot of energy. Next up, we have bulk playing cards. So these are just decks that I want to have at all times. So I own a lot of these because they're bulk. That's what I just said. So first up, we have Aviators. We have blue and red Aviators. Really fun decks. Smooth finish. Pretty common. Next up, we have Peelers V4. This is kind of like my quintessential OPC deck. It's a metallic version of their V1 essentially, and had it brick up on that. Next up, we have Jerry's Nuggets Blue Edition. We also have Jerry's Nuggets Red Edition, kind of a little bit farther down the line. Next up, we have Gliders. I got a bunch of these from my friend Will Reed. Shout out to Will Reed. Really love this deck, inspired by apertures on cameras. So next up, we have Tally-Hos, which I've said many times, these are my favorite designs, so obviously have to have a lot of circle back Tally-Hos. I used to have like 4 bricks of these, so these have gone down a lot. I like to give these away and like destroy these, so these are kind of like my destruction deck if I ever want to try Cardistry or try to learn a new foot move. That sounds weird, but feet moves, you destroy decks very quickly. Already went over Jerry's Nuggets. Stud playing cards, these were Walgreens exclusives for a very long time. They don't make them anymore, so I wanted to make sure I had them if I wanted more in the future, because they're really nice design and they're just kind of the decks I think of when I think of playing cards. Like, they're like writer backs to me, like they're basics. And then we have a fan back Tally-Ho. Don't have bulk of these, but I'm going to at one day, so I thought I would have it there. So that's all the playing cards. I'm significantly more sweaty than I was expecting. I've made a mess on the floor, but I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the count. I counted before, and if you guys guessed anywhere in the 3-digit range, you'd be correct. It's 174 decks here. Some of that is in this bulk here, so there's a lot of bulk here, but a lot of this is stuff that I've been given, and a lot of it is stuff that I've spent a lot of money on because I am rich. That's not true at all. I am financially irresponsible is probably the better term to go with. But I've slowed down on what I've bought a lot. I would say this year I only buy 1 or 2 decks a month. So I've slowed down on buying cards because I have most of what I want at this point. And I kind of know the things that I want. So I'm going to now do a time lapse of trying to stack this again without the microphone and see if I can do better than my very poor attempts in the past.
It's just so confusing. At what point does it shift?
So, yeah.
Maybe you should start from the ceiling and work down.
Okay. So we can basically all agree that this part of the video was a pretty colossal failure. I think it's probably just because I'm bad at this, but it's also a lot harder than I thought. So I'm probably just going to leave this here for a couple months and not pick it up. But that's all of the decks that I own. Really quickly, I want to come over here and make more of a mess. But I also kind of want to quickly show off two items. So right here we have an uncut sheet for a Viper Tally-Ho from Illusionist. This is what the cards look like before they're cut. They come in these white sheets here, and then they get cut at the factories. So that's an uncut sheet. And then here, this last item is one that a lot of you probably would not have seen. Since I live close to where they create these decks, occasionally I'll find in thrift stores things like this, which is a bicycle-themed cooler. I just thought that was pretty neat. I think it was $4 or $5. And you can hold, a variety of beverages, water, Fiji, Dasani, whatever water and kid-appropriate drink you want to have and enjoy. So that's some other stuff there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was definitely a lot different than usual, and I appreciate you guys sticking around and watching it to the end. My voice hurts. I can't even talk right. My voice hurts. I'm extremely sweaty, and I've made a huge mess. So this is a normal Sunday, and I'll see you guys later.